All right, you guys ready?
Ready. Always ready.
Ready?
Ryan, how you been?
I've been all right.
Yeah?
Getting over a little sickness,
Okay.
but we're doing...
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
You're jumping the...
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's all right. All right, we'll do this from the top. Ready?
I just wanted to talk to my friend.
That's fine.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Unbearable Podcast. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think since August 1st. Couple updates. Actually, quite a few updates real quick. Obviously, we are in a new space. Derek moved out. Not that he was ever here anyway, but he moved out. So now I have a
Shots
room.
at Derek. Pew, pew,
We
pew.
have a studio that we're shooting in and filming in and taping in and recording in. And
In
yeah, it's fun
Chicago,
stuff.
yep.
We went to the Creed concert in August, shortly after we taped our last one, and maybe Kyle can tell you a little bit about what happened there.
In the time that we have recorded a podcast, I have fractured an ankle, had surgery, been in a boot, or I'm sorry, on crutches, in a boot, and have now since began to recover from said injury. But yes, I did break my ankle at a Creed concert, and explaining that to older people that I work with has been the hardest part of this whole thing. Is when you're walking around in a boot and you have to explain to like your 50-year-old coworker,
What's
like,
Creed?
What did you do? Oh, I broke it. Oh, where? How? At a concert. Oh, what concert? Creed. And they're like, they still make music.
Yeah, sort of.
That's been the hardest part, I think.
That concert was rowdy. In all fairness, Kyle did slip and fall, but that's because it was an absolute monsoon for an hour and a half. The concert got pushed back, and it was just a complete mudslide. I tripped, but thankfully someone caught me with their arms wide open.
Oh,
It was amazing.
with arms wide
Yeah, I wasn't the
open.
only one that the Hill claimed that night. There was a lot of
Definitely
people,
not.
but I will also say that I can't fully blame it just
Can
on,
we? Yeah, I was gonna say.
just on the rain.
Can we bring it back
Because
to a
there
different
was
concert that
there
we
was
went
a
to?
Lumineers concert a while ago where I could not stand up on that hill and just came home in mud, and it didn't rain.
No,
so that
no, it
tells
didn't
you
rain there.
how much I had fallen that night.
Kyle
But
wasn't
yeah.
allowed in to begin with that concert.
I think I'm
and
pretty
then-
done with
and then
Tinley
we-
Park, to be honest with you. I'm pretty done with that.
But
And
fun time. Everyone made it out alive. That's all
Yeah,
that
we did.
matters.
Props to Kyle, because I lost you guys for a long time, and I just walked back to the party bus and hung out with Allie. The poor girl was just by herself, and we're sitting there. Probably 20 minutes go by, and the rest of the crew comes because the concert's over. Kyle's walking on his ankle. He seems to be doing just fine. Walks onto the bus, walks off of the bus, but the next morning when the booze wore off,
oh yeah, dude! It was the middle of the night when we were sleeping at Dan's house. I had to crawl to the bathroom. That's when I knew something was very wrong.
yeah.
Help me.
But yeah,
hey,
we're here now.
Sports,
hey,
we're
boys.
here, yeah.
Let's talk about
Hey,
sports.
We're just going to tell a quick story.
Hey.
Also, Kyle moved out. He got a house, so
Yeah, congrats on
that's,
Kyle
that's
on the
going
new
on
house.
as
Hey,
well.
That's
raise your
big.
hand if you're homeless.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So a lot has happened since the last pod. That kind of explains why we haven't recorded as frequently. Again, we always say that we're going to do this more often, and we'd love to, and we hope to. Actually, we're all going to be living much, much closer to each other. Kyle's down the street. Connor's going to be living across the street from him. So we're all within a 1 mile radius, which is fantastic. So hopefully we get some more pods on the schedule. But let's get into it without further ado. I hate that phrase. I should have never said it.
Without further ado.
I hate it. I should have never said
Adu
it.
is always my first guess on
Erica
Wordle for Wordle play.
Badu. No, dude, train or audio.
No,
Erica Badu.
Adu gives you so many vowels.
Without further, Erica
Badu.
Badu. We have a pretty jam-packed episode tonight. Today, whenever you're listening, we're going to get in some quick notes. We'll fill the glass with some Bulls talk. I haven't talked about them in a while. Preseason is coming up. We'll do a division breakdown with the Bears.
Love it.
And we're at week 4 or 5 right now?
Five.
We're
Going on
about to
5.
do week 5
Yeah.
tomorrow. So actually, I'm going to get this podcast out tonight so people can listen ahead of tomorrow so we can make sure we get all our predictions correct.
It's all going to be fantasy football. talk that they're
We're going to go panic meter, see how good or bad we're feeling about the rest of the season. We'll do a little under the radar, and then we'll wrap it up with whatever we feel like wrapping it up with.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to do
Always wrap
mailbag,
it up.
failed to do that. I was going
Always
to write
wrap
some
it
ads, failed to do that. So
That's okay.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah,
fail
some
on
might
anything.
need some explanations. So
We-
if you
okay,
need,
we gotta
if you
get
need me to
back-
kind of fill in
we
and
gotta
set
get
the
back
tone
in
for
the-
some of them. I can
All right.
kind of explain.
So should I hit
premise.
this intro music?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's
Ryan.
do it.
Some are saying this is the best intro song ever to be curated. I'm not saying it. Some are saying it. Some people are saying it. I'm not saying it.
All right, let's dive in. Kyle, quick notes. What's going on with the Bulls? We actually a lot. I'll let you get into it.
If you actually, are you using that as the thing? Because I don't have a computer on me. But the first thing we can just kind of go through the Bulls since we are a Bulls and Bears podcast. It made more sense. Bulls are in the off season, although it is coming soon. We'll kind of talk a little bit about some things that have been going on with the Bulls, and then we'll just kind of briefly touch base with kind of where the Bears are at.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Since, again, we haven't done this since August 1st when they were playing the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That sounds good.
So first, Bulls. Number one, Derrick Rose, retirement, calling it quits. He is set to retire. I think a big thing on the mind of a lot of Chicago sports fans is maybe if Reinsdorf isn't a fucking idiot, which that's asking a lot, they're going to bring him back and let him retire as a Bull, and would you hang his jersey in the rafters?
100%. I was 100%. Do I think they're going to? This is the part where if they don't, I might not be a Bulls fan anymore. If you don't hang that jersey, I might not be a Bulls fan. I guarantee you, even if they would lose every single game, more people would watch the Chicago Bulls. Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose all came back just to play on this team. Now, with that being said, it's stupid for the franchise, obviously, but there's no longer that interest of the Chicago Bulls for me than there once was. And I think that's like a big issue with everyone too. It's like it's still basketball. I'm gonna watch it over hockey, yeah, but I'm not really that tuned in anymore. I really don't. They're just losing interest for me. But I don't know if you feel similar or not.
It's a star-driven league, and like you need a superstar on your team, and the Bulls have lacked a superstar for a very long time. And Derrick Rose was kind of that last superstar that we had, where it was just like You want a player that everybody else envies having on your team. The Bulls don't have that, where we had that with Derrick Rose for a while.
So what would you say then?
I would retire his jersey 100%. I also think that Chicago Bulls fans, and I think some of us were maybe a little bit guilty of that, also ran him out of town when he was here. And it was like he's a piece of glass and he's always injured and all of that. And I don't think he was treated very well by fans on the way out. And I think way to kind of apologize for that and redeem ourselves and bring him back into Chicago and let him like continue to do work in the city of Chicago would be to retire him as a Bull, bring him back for a game, and I guarantee you fans would go absolutely nuts.
Bring him back for a game. That's
let him retire as a Bull and then put his jersey up. I honestly, he was the youngest MVP ever.
He was phenomenal and
led them for a long time, and you can do the what ifs game, but like the guy was phenomenal, and I genuinely think that they were very close to a championship had he not gotten hurt, and that's not his fault.
Nope.
That it's, again, you can blame Thibodeau, you can do whatever you want, but like, again, not anybody's fault. So we don't have to spend too much time on this because there is a lot of other things. There's a lot of other things to get to. But
let me ask a question. I am in the camp of I don't know. I don't know if they should retire his jersey. I mean, obviously he's a spectacular player. He did a lot for the Bulls. How many years did he spend there, though, realistically? In his career, probably about 50% of his time with the Bulls. And the furthest he got was Eastern Conference Finals. Listen, I'm not going to be upset if he is. I'm not going to be upset if he isn't. But my question is, when would you do that?
Can we cut this right now? Andrew's trying to call me.
Okay.
Can we cut this part?
Yeah, sure. So my question is, when do you put the number in the rafters?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't think it matters as long as it's in the rafters. I don't think he really gives a shit about the Chicago Bulls anymore. I don't like he. I really think that it tore him apart,
which is an argument of why he doesn't need to be in the rafters.
No, but like I agree with what you're saying, but if you want players to come and play for a team like the Bulls and you see what he did, it's going to be difficult for players to come and then do what they do and be productive and get an MVP as the youngest MVP ever.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's hard for us to remember right now how much he meant to the city for a very good amount of time that we were growing up. There was 100%. Gave hope for a championship. The only roadblock that they ever had was the stupid fucking Miami Heat with their super team that they created. And that was a roadblock for them and LeBron James. And had that not been a thing, I think we could have gotten a little bit farther and it wouldn't have been as big of a thing. But like he was like a big part of the city for a long time. And I'm not saying like that qualifies for getting a jersey hung, but like again, you were the youngest MVP.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right that there was no championships behind that. There's no like you can make the argument then of like what's the standard for getting a jersey retired if you like he didn't win a championship or do any of that stuff and like there's a standard for that. But I think it's more of just like a loyalty thing or like
and I get that, but I'm trying to think of
thing almost
other teams.
We did you dirty.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm just trying to think of other teams in the NBA that have retired jerseys with the same kind of
passion.
Not passion. What's the word I'm looking for? Career that Derrick Rose had. He was there from 08 to what, 14, 15 maybe? Yeah. So you're talking 6-7 years roughly. What other NBA franchise has retired someone who has had that career?
I would say Allen Iverson in the Philadelphia 76ers.
He was there the whole time, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he won an MVP and he didn't win a championship.
Was Penny Hardaway kind of like that? Does Penny Hardaway have his number retired? I don't know if he does or not. I didn't really like do any research on this, so I don't.
We're coming off of like Chicago, which is like you have a lot of players. Like Orlando doesn't have that many players that come through. Chicago, you have a good amount of players that you could be like, yeah, let's hang this guy in the rafter. If Bob Love is in the rafters, Derrick Rose should be in the rafters.
So if Derrick Rose is in the rafters, should Joakim Noah be in the rafters?
Could make that argument. That's what I'm saying. Where then now you're changing the standard of like what it is that you're hanging them up with. Which I didn't mean for this. This was just supposed to be a quick note segment.
Sorry,
we have a lot of other things.
I know it's a lot of other stuff, but it's an interesting idea.
It is. It's a good conversation.
Yeah. Which we'll save it for another day, and we'll like look at maybe who should be hung up, who shouldn't be.
Also, that segment was totally our idea.
Right. Right. For all 4 people that are still listening to this, if that,
Lonzo Ball set to return. It's been what, 2 seasons?
2 seasons, 2.5 seasons.
He took the pictures this week,
and he has said that the knee feels good and that it feels better. And
I would love to see it. I really would, but I don't know how much I believe it.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to get into like predictions or anything like that yet, or like any. Okay. I know the last thing on there is there any help this season? But like. I would agree. But just this again was just quick notes. Like he's set to return. He's coming back. Like just keeping you in the loop. That
do you think that
he could be a player that the Bulls do have on their roster this year?
Do you think that Giddey starts then, and then he comes off the bench until he gets acclimated?
There's no way that you start right away. I would say there's no way that you can start him right away.
I don't know. You got to go through like
if you've been out for this long, there's no way that you can just instantly go into it.
Ease him back in, and it might not be like a point guard role. It might be kind of an off-ball role. I don't really know, but the only thing again is that now they have some semblance of like some other assets that you can work with as playmakers that have been lacking on that team.
He's got a great highlight reel with the Bulls, man. Some really nice.
He can push the ball. He's a very good compliment for Zach LaVine, is what I will say.
All right, so
he can unlock Zach LaVine. And again, I'm not saying that I want to keep Zach LaVine, but if he can unlock Zach LaVine and they can
mesh,
and he can mesh, and then you build Zach LaVine, and then other teams start looking at Zach LaVine as an asset again because they see how he plays with a player, then maybe that's a good thing. But
so, do we think he's going to be back, or is this kind of a wool kind of just like a I'll be back, I promise?
Who, Lonzo?
Yeah.
No, I think he's already been medically cleared.
So you think he is going to play?
I think he will play. I think he will play this season.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be game 1. It might take a few games, but I do think this season you will see.
Do we know what's left on his contract?
I don't.
No.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Again, I didn't do a deep dive on
Yeah.
any of these
Yeah.
things.
No.
I just
We've been
threw him in as
Kyle's
a-
been moving. It's been a little busy. So
Well, with any of
that's
these
why we're
things.
not podding as
Again,
often.
just
We all
kinda-
got
I
shit
think this
going
is
on, guys.
a good catch-up
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So,
So
Love
they signed another problematic player that I'm not familiar with. Can you tell us,
Nor am I.
Kyle, a little bit about Josh
Yeah.
Primo?
yeah, Josh Primo was drafted. He was a number 12 overall pick out of
Okay.
Alabama, and is actually considered like a decent like scoring guard, and was drafted by the San Antonio Spurs, and then I think the Clippers picked him up. But he is serving a 4-game suspension for exposing himself to multiple women.
Oh,
Okay.
So
All right.
again, coming off the
Yeah.
heels of the Josh Giddey signing,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not the greatest. They're kind of just reaching
Yeah.
for whoever they
So
can
I-
get as a playmaker.
I see where you're getting at. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know like the full logistics of where that stands, but he is serving a 4-game suspension for it. So there's obviously enough substance there to know that he did something that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But I don't know like what happened or when it was. I just saw that they had
Do you
signed
know-
him. What he is not going to be on the Bulls active roster though. They waived him and he signed another deal with the Windy City Bulls. So he is a Windy City Bull player.
Okay, but we can bring him up whenever.
But you can bring him up.
Okay.
So as a
Yeah.
player, though, that's a top 12 pick that you can run on the Windy City Bulls would be kind of cool. Side note, I was also thinking for just our shits and giggles, I think it would be great to start looking and like going to and getting some content at like a Windy City Bulls game
Hey,
or
yeah,
a
sure.
Kane County Cougars game or the NIU Huskies game. Shout out NIU Huskies.
Shout out Skull.
Skull?
Rollskis.
Oh boy, I read that as Roll Skies earlier. I'm like, what is he talking about? Also, did you guys see Josh Giddey? He's refused to update to iOS 18.
Is this
He said
real or is
iOS
this-
17 is
No, do you
perfect
get
for
the
him.
joke? Do you get the joke?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah. All right.
I did see he was at Six Flags though.
All right.
We got to watch out
Okay.
for the.
All right.
Yeah, but preseason
right.
starts Tuesday.
Yep. They got
Coming
the
up in a
Cavs.
couple days.
Yep.
How long is preseason? It goes till like the end of October, right?
I don't
this
remember
season starts,
how many games they play. On the preseason subject, I would also like to issue an apology to Connor. Just while we're talking about preseason, last episode when we were talking during the Hall of Fame game, I did get a little bit worked up and maybe use the phrase dipshit towards Connor related to the fact that everybody plays the same amount of preseason games, and that is not the case anymore.
It's
The Hall of
heartfelt.
Fame
I
game was an
appreciate it.
extra game that was a bonus game. Everybody now plays 3 preseason games, which happened relatively recently. I think 2 years ago when they expanded the league or
Yeah.
the games to 17. I didn't realize that. Not everybody plays 4 games.
Hey, it all. works
Everybody
out.
plays 3. The Bears did have a bonus game and chose not to play Caleb Williams in it.
Yeah.
I apologize for calling
Hey,
you a
that's
dipshit on that
okay.
one.
That's what we're all about
We were in a
here.
big
Yeah.
standoff on that and very confused. And
Yeah.
it was me that was
I-
the one that was
Hey,
was wrong.
That's how we operate
So,
here
hand
at
up.
Unbearable.
I'd also
up.
like to apologize for a lot of fucking stupid stuff that I've done to you as well.
I will not apologize for anything.
Yeah, Ryan's got a clean record.
Is there any hope for the season for the Bulls? Let me start. No.
I don't know. We'll see. If Lonzo Ball comes back, that team played very differently with
They
Lonzo
did.
Ball. I'm not saying that they're going to be great. I'm not even saying they're going to be a playoff team, to be honest. But I
Caruso's
want to
gone,
see.
isn't he?
Caruso's gone. Yep. I
He's
want
at
to see.
OKC.
I want to see Manas Buzelis. If they
Yep.
can get Manas Buzelis working with a couple of the playmakers that they have, and see if they can maybe move the ball around. They still don't have a lot of great 3-point shooting on that team.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest concern. Rebounding in the middle.
Yep.
So, but Lonzo does make a
What?
difference when he's on the
He
court.
does, but
100%.
how often will he be on the
Right.
court?
And-
Also, Billy Donovan, this is your year. If you don't
Yeah,
fucking play
I think
modest,
this is a big year.
if
I
you
think
do
this is
not
a
play
big year for
modest, if
Billy.
you do not be competitive in games, and if you take stupid timeouts, and dude, I'm
So-
gonna fucking lose it.
When you phrase it like, is there any hope for the Bulls? I think this is the most hopeful that I have been for the Bulls because you're starting young.
Interesting.
You're starting young, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen this year, but there's actually like progression, much like the Bears that we talked about. And this is the only time that we've had this young of a team, and we're not paying everybody all that much money. So if these people can click together, if Lonzo can come back, and these people can show.
Mine is Zach LaVine and Vooch. You're paying them a lot of money.
Yeah. But Vooch needs to get off the team.
That might be the most positive thing you've ever said on this podcast.
I know. Yeah, and I'm saying that like you eventually have to do it, but hope definition wise, that's what I would think would be the case.
We'll see. Can you
So-
do the scroll on that too?
Yeah. We're gonna get into this next segment called what?
Can you see this?
Yeah, he can see it. You need glasses, Connor.
Yeah.
That's the Bulls.
Yeah.
I think,
Bolts.
you know,
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are supposed to be quick notes, and we spent 30 minutes.
That's okay.
That's all right.
I really don't care. Let's fill the glass, and by
All right.
by filling the
we
glass.
passed the Bears.
This is gonna
Yeah,
be fun.
this means that we have a glass, okay, and there's some water, and we're gonna fill it, and then we're gonna pour it out, and we're gonna fill it, and we're gonna pour it out. So it's like a glass half empty, glass half full thing. And Connor, your role here is you're gonna tell us everything that's wrong with the Bears, okay? And Kyle's gonna tell us everything that's right with the Bears, and we're gonna come to a conclusion on where the Bears' trajectory is going for the rest of the season. So.
Okay. Yeah. You want me to take it away?
I have no. Let's start with Kyle. The glass is half full. Kyle's going to fill the glass a little more, and then I want you to pour that water out.
Did we intentionally skip the Bears updates in the quick notes? That's what I was trying to scroll to get.
We
to.
did.
Okay.
We
So
did.
do you want me to go through it really quick?
Yeah. Just
No.
go.
Okay, just to give
Here's-
some context for this.
do it fast. Do it fast.
Okay, yeah. Kyle's going to fill in
Okay,
the thing.
just to give some
accidentally
context for everything before we kind of fill the glass here, was that the Bears are currently 2-2. We got a win against the Titans in Week 1. The Bears, 17-24. The Bears lost against the Texans in Week 2, 19-13. The Bears lost against the Colts, 21-16 in Week 3. And then last week, coming off a win against the Rams, 18-24. Just, again, some quick updates, some significant injuries. There are other injuries, but these are the ones that kind of matter more. Was that Ryan Bates is on IR, offensive lineman, and then Zach Pickens and is out for the Panthers game. He hasn't really been a factor, but he's out for the game. And then DeAndre Carter and Tevin Jenkins are both questionable for the Panthers coming up next week. So that's that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
I like this idea of
Tevin
having the
Jenkins
screen
is
up
big.
here. Maybe we do like a PowerPoint, and I can switch between.
That's
the
what
things.
I was thinking. If you would, that's
Yeah,
why I
or
was
if
like,
I
can you
can
scroll that.
do it.
That's right.
That's all right. Though.
See, we're improving the pod, guys.
We're learning.
improving.
We're learning.
Yeah.
Improving
Every
on the
week.
run.
Every
We're
week.
still in its infancy.
So-
We should get this thing down by week 20.
My episode 20. Yep. All right, Kyle. The glass is half full. Fill it up for me.
All right, so we're kind of looking at Caleb Williams here for the first one. Glass half full. So again, kind of just the pessimist, optimist here. I think we've seen growth every week. I think there's been incremental growth each and every week. I think one of the things that I look at the most from that Rams game was that in previous games against the blitz, he was getting his ass kicked and he would drop back 20 yards and get sacked and take a 20-yard sack. Against that Rams game, he was 7 of 8, if I saw right. He was 7 of 8 for 75 yards. So, was completing passes against the blitz was what it was. He was 7 of 8 against the blitz as opposed to just, taking a sack or throwing the ball away. Was actually, progressing against, reading a blitz coming at you and, could do something against a blitz, which he's going to see a lot because that offensive line blows right now. And has been terrible.
And that's an
I'll
understatement.
get into that. That's my portion.
But again, I think there's been incremental growth for Caleb, and just with my glass half full approach that I'm taking, what I don't want to do is put the lens on of all quarterbacks and start doing the comparing him to Jaden Daniels thing and start being like the Bears got it wrong again. I don't think this is a Mitchell Trubisky situation where it's like they got it wrong with Mitchell Trubisky because Mitchell Trubisky absolutely blew versus Patrick Mahomes turned out to be very, very good. I don't think this is the same thing. I think you can have a situation where both players are actually good. And so as Chicago sports fans, what I would continue to do is not look at the rest of the landscape of what other quarterbacks do and just look at what we currently have and try to incubate that bad boy and just be happy with the growth that we can see from the quarterback that we currently have given the situation that he's currently in, because there's a lot of variables that play into every situation with every quarterback that exists.
Can I go off of that for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree 100% of what you're saying.
No, you're supposed to be the negative person.
I know, but
He's going to be.
That's. I agree 1,000% of what you're saying.
Here comes
that
the but.
Caleb is coming. He's doing exactly what we expected it to be. He needs to progress. Progress, but Jaden Daniels does not have the same offense that the Chicago Bears have.
O-line, though. Come on.
If that's the issue, then why aren't we focusing on? That's what I was going to say in future tense, but. It makes no sense to me that he is popping off as well as he is, and Caleb is not. Like, he's not ready for the situation, which leads me back to Justin Fields, and leads me back to why did we get rid of Justin Fields when Caleb wasn't ready for the situation? Because we're with the O-line, we're going to get him killed. Where he's not going to be able to, like he's just not ready. Like that's the only way that you can put it. And I'm 100% that what I'm about to say has a lot to do with the offensive coordinator as well. But I do think that Justin Fields in this situation could produce more than Caleb Williams.
Yeah, again, that's not the point of the segment, is to look at like comparison of two quarterbacks. It's just more of like just talking about him as a player and looking at like what you don't like about him as a player. Again, I know you love to harp on the past of which I was almost going to put as a segment. We're going to do that as another one, revisionist history. We'll save that for another one. Okay. But again, just as the player though is kind of what we're focused on here, which I think kind of leads into the next person, because I would argue
he is doing great. I'm telling you, he's doing great.
But I would argue the Jaden Daniels thing, if you want to do the revisionist history thing, I want to put that on a future podcast to like talk about that as like some situations or some like decisions that were made that how are those playing out. But I want to give that a little bit of time too, because some of these things haven't had enough time to really be like, this is right or this was wrong. Yeah. But Cliff Kingsbury has been a much better fucking offensive
100%.
Coordinator than Shane Waldron. And if you and that's a Ryan Poles thing. If you want, if we can get to that again a little bit later, but moving into our next offensive or our next like topic for filling the glass here, if we want to look at how we can make people sort of be cautiously optimistic, I guess, is the way to look at filling the glass. I don't know what we were kind of thinking about this is Shane Waldron. So the next person to kind of do this with is looking at the offensive coordinator for the Bears, Shane Waldron, and looking at maybe what have been some of the bad and what has been maybe some of the more positive that you've seen moving forward. I'm just going to let you rip the Band-Aid off and go with the negative, because I think there's a lot to go with there.
Negative. It's going to be obviously the short dumb passes. I can't stand dumb passes with this team. We didn't get wide receivers because they can dump past the ball. We got the quarterback that we needed, supposedly, and we got basically everything that he needs around that, and we are not utilizing anybody in the correct position. This also relates to the tight ends. The 3 tight ends that we signed, we're not chipping anybody on the edge. We know that our offensive line is terrible, and nobody can chip anyone on the offensive line. The way that your formation is ran is just pathetic to me. I don't understand why you would sign these players and then not utilize them in the formation that you should utilize them in. DeAndre Swift shouldn't be running up the middle every single play. And DeAndre Swift, granted, DeAndre Swift, he's kind of on one of my list of people that aren't performing well. But I would also say that Roshan Johnson is a young player that could easily also be getting the ball, which he did week 4. And he definitely got more touches. But the whole offense right now seems to be in shambles. And you have to either live with it or you're going to die on that hill. And if Eberflus dies on that hill, then it's going to be him out as well. So he needs to make that decision.
Yeah, so I think, again, I think we've seen a lot of bad from the offensive coordinator, and I'm not, pumping the chest here for Shane Waldron. When you look at 4 weeks of it, obviously, like I just said, Cliff Kingsbury is looking like a better hire than Shane Waldron would have been. But what I will say that looks different to me with Shane Waldron than Luke Getsy is that there has been some adjustments that have been made.
Okay, but
and there were tight end sets that were brought in the Rams game.
correct. Yeah.
The only thing that I still do not understand is why Gerald Everett is not involved in the
Yeah.
offense, why you brought him in, and like he's not a shitty tight end, and like he is just nowhere in this offense. But the other thing is the running game, like you mentioned with DeAndre Swift. In that last game, there was an adjustment of having him, and I think that's you putting a player in that situation. So in the first three games, DeAndre Swift did not look good. Week 4, he ran the ball pretty well because they were giving him holes. I don't care if it's up the middle, if it's there, but he needs to have just one cut and go. Yeah. And that's what he was doing in the Rams game, as opposed to dancing behind the backfield or the behind the line of scrimmage and trying to like find his way open, and they adjusted to that. That is the thing that I will say that is like at least somewhat optimistic is that there seems to be an ability for him to realize this didn't work and I'm going to change this up a little bit. He ran one of the most egregious calls on 4th and 1 in that Colts game when you ran an option play on 4th and 1. When you pitch it 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, that was the dumbest play. Then you watched in the Rams game, he brings in that offensive lineman and runs him at fullback, and like you said, Roshan Johnson just pounded up the middle. So there's like there's
RTB,
at least
run the ball.
There's at least an understanding of like that didn't work last time. I'm gonna try to do something just slightly different or like make a little bit better. So I think there's. The reason for optimism is that he doesn't seem like a dumb box of rocks that wants to just try to keep doing the same thing over and over again, like we got from Luke Getsy.
Like you're trying to switch it up. Like
he's trying to do something different.
Okay.
I agree that when we were watching that Colts game, there was way too much gadgety shit that he was trying to run, where everything was like a play action or like I had to do this. I was like running. I think they tried to run the Wildcat at some point or something like that. They did an option like. You can't do that unless you've set some stuff up. And so I think maybe he at least has an understanding of knowing I can't always get away with that. Let's do something different. So there is an adjustment
in regards to that, with what you're saying. When do you think that Caleb Williams is eventually just going to say, screw it, I'm just going to do my own thing. Like I'm just going to go and like call my own audibles. I
don't think he hates Caleb Williams, and I don't think the two of them have like a bad relationship. If you watch Caleb Williams, he does a lot of shit at the line. Like they give him that ability to do stuff at the line and like change stuff at the line.
I'm saying like he eventually, are you like, as the generational quarterback that you are you just like, I don't care about this play call. I'm going to do whatever I see on the field.
Yeah, I think you're going to get to that point. But I also think that that's part of an offense.
Yeah,
if you're
100%.
a good coordinator, I think he probably has that embedded in there. And so that's probably on both of them at that point to be able to, A,
that's why it's
call a good like play design, B, be able to like, if you're going to call out of it correctly. So it's like, it's always hard. When I say there's a lot of variables in it, is that the quarterback? 100%. Is that the offensive coordinator? Then it's not always just like one person.
He loves Aaron Rodgers, and that's Aaron Rodgers' go-to is to
just do his own thing.
Yeah,
and,
do his own. Call out of it.
Yeah.
But
all right.
But besides that, I mean, the offensive line. That's the other issue. We all know about that. I think they have the perfect amount of talent on that offensive line. Their schemes that they're running on the offensive line are just absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense to me. It's literally mind-blowing that you can trust somebody one-on-one, an edge rusher from 5 feet away from you, and he's coming your way, and there's a blitzing linebacker coming your way as well. And you're going to get blown up. Like that, you can't do anything about that. That one could be on Caleb. So I will say that I'm not giving.
If you're holding on to the ball, but I don't think his issue is holding on to the ball. I think he's getting sometimes I think he's holding on to the ball. But I think he's adjusted to that against the blitz. Like I said, against the Rams, 7 of 8, 75 yards. Like didn't.
I think that was
did he
the
turn
issue.
the ball over in that? In the Rams game? I don't think he turned the ball over. Yeah.
Caleb? No.
I think that was the issue, that he wasn't calling audibles. But that's also on the Cody Shelton. That should be, or what's his
Coleman Shelton.
Coleman Shelton.
Yeah.
He should be the one being able to make those adjustments. I don't know who the captain is of the offensive line. Do you know?
I don't think they have a captain on that offensive
That's
line.
a huge issue.
Right.
And I think that's like a big problem.
Right. Which I don't think you're going to find one person that's going to say that offensive line is not an issue. So let's keep moving here, though, because we got a lot of other things. So Matt Eberflus would then be your next one. The negative, the positive. This was our first go with this segment, so we'll see how this really goes, because I feel like a lot. I was trying to kind of do like the trickle up effect here, where a lot of this is all related, but I think the Matt Eberflus positives are obviously his defense. And he was a defensive mind that came in, and that defense has been very, very good and has carried a team. And it seems like he can keep a locker room. Like, there's no like locker room issues that you're made aware of. You sitting here don't know everything that's going on, or what players 100%. Actually think of the guy.
Yeah.
My role as being positive though in this is
I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Just try to be nice. Got a great beard. I think he is maintaining it. He's kind of steady Eddie. I will say, as a coach, if you're gonna harp on anything, they've been in every game. Like every game that they've played in, even the Texans game, that's a 19-3 game. They were in that game. They could have won that game.
Can I take?
They were in the Colts game. They could have won that game. Every game that they've been in, or that they've played, they have been in that they could have won. And I know that there have been significant hiccups, but he's kept them in games. So.
Can I take positives as well?
If you want, yeah. If there's, we can keep this glass going, because I'll throw a negative in there too.
Okay. I think that's not his fault at all. That's Ryan Poles' fault. With signing the offensive coordinator. And I think the offensive coordinator and the linemen are the biggest issues. We know that Eberflus is a defensive-minded coach. Defense is playing out of their mind, and defense looks phenomenal. We needed somebody that was a little bit more better on the offensive coordinator side. So, granted, my negative side would be, you got to get balanced now. Like, you're focusing on defense.
But I would also argue that there's no way in hell that your head coach doesn't have a say in who the offensive coordinator is. There's no way.
Okay.
I get that Ryan Poles can kind of like sign off on it at the end of the day, but your head coach is involved in that conversation.
Ryan Poles has to be the first person to be like yes or no. He should be the first person that says yes, I'm going to sign that guy. I believe he's good for the team. Or no, that guy doesn't fit the system.
I would say that you bring in candidates and you sit and you have a conversation with people. I don't think it's like his sole decision at the end of the day that he's making.
Okay,
Do you want to move into polls then? Let's move into polls, because I think we've already filled the glass on Eberflus. So then Ryan Poles, you hit it.
Yeah, I mean that's all I have to say is that I think his coaching staff that he signed is especially he tried to sign this. This is what I think would happen is he tried to sign sexy names on offense and then take back from sexy names coaching wise on offense. So the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator. And so he wanted to just make it seem like, we have everything filled on offense. Meanwhile, the offense is the number one part that's struggling on the Chicago Bears right now.
Again, I will say that Eberflus is involved in the offensive coordinator decision. That's not just solely Ryan Poles' decision.
Yeah,
but
I
the
agree.
other thing that I think needs to be pointed out to Bears fans, because this gets lost in the shuffle, is that a lot of people think that Ryan Poles was solely responsible for hiring Matt Eberflus. If
Correct.
you remember,
I know.
They hired them at
You're
the
right.
same exact time, and it was McCaskey and it was Ted Phillips that gave him 3 coaches to pick from. And those 3 coaches were Jim Caldwell, Matt Eberflus, and Dan Quinn.
Yep.
Those were your 3 coaches that they had narrowed it down to. And so you walk in as a GM for the first time, and they've given you the pool that you can pick from. It's not like he's going out there and getting the guys that he actually wants. I still think, even in any of the decisions, like an offensive coordinator position, I still think that McCaskey and I still think that even Ted Warren is now involved in all of those things. And so when I complain about bear shit being like a systemic issue,
100%.
That's my systemic issue. I don't think that it's – if Ryan Poles goes to another organization – guaranteed, like he doesn't have some of the issues that he has with this organization, because they refuse to give up power or like refuse to do things that other organizations
100%,
do.
100%.
So I don't blame him for that.
Nor do I. I agree with 1,000% with what you're saying. Then it's very true. But excuse me, at some point, don't you become like used to if you're Ryan Poles, right, taking this job, you know what situation you're getting into. he's not dumb. Like, he knew the situation he's going into, and he knew that was going to be one of the issues regarding that.
Right.
So, like, you have to, at some point, kind of be like, hey, like, I need to make moves by myself, which I think he has done, and not listen to what other people are telling him to say.
Well, to an extent, I think that you can't make those moves because they block you from making those moves if you're a higher up. And the other thing to that is if you're coming in and taking the job, he was like, what with the Chiefs role? If you can come in and take the GM role for the Bears, how much more money are you making right now that you would whatever assistant position you were with the Chiefs? I can't remember what he was doing with the Chiefs, but it was some
assistant to the
regional manager. Yeah, right. So it was something like that. But again, like that's my biggest issue with that is you look at which is the name of this episode. Is this something new or is this deja vu?
It's the same. It's literally the same shit.
So
over
it's
and
deja
over
vu, and then doesn't that let you believe that that's an organizational problem? It's not.
100%.
We can put any coach, we can put any quarterback, we can put any GM back there.
I know.
Until they get rid of freaking McCaskey and like that's what drives me nuts. And like Warren came in looking like this like presidential, like I'm gonna fix everything and it's gonna be a lot different around here. We're gonna get a new stadium. That hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed with them. It is
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that you're
all
wrong
over.
at all. It's the same thing with all Chicago sports.
But I try to stay a little bit optimistic
I know,
because
but it's just like
it saves me from just wanting to beat my head into a wall.
Does optimism or pessimism really matter if you're just doing the same thing over again? It doesn't, because either you get your hopes up or it's just like, yeah, right.
So do you think that when it comes to other people coming into this organization, let's say they looked at Bill Belichick had the opportunity to come to the Bears. Tom Brady had the opportunity to come to the Bears.
Yeah.
Do you think
that was a big one too that we should talk about? Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of his decision to not go with the Bears is the fact that everyone above the GM is like, okay, well, if the GM's not making the decision and it's 99 or 101-year-old Virginia McCaskey, like, I think I'm going to pass because they don't know what the fuck they're doing and they won't relent any power. And you know what? I'm just going to go to the Bucs because they let me do what I want.
Right.
That's exactly how it is. They're not like these players, like Tom Brady, not stupid, dude. He knows exactly what he wants, and he was willing to take a pay cut from what he was saying on the broadcast. That he would have taken a pay cut to get to Chicago.
I don't think he said that on the broadcast. But
no, well, it had his note sheets.
Oh, okay.
Like for money wise,
right.
Compared to the Bucs, like he was getting paid more for the Bucs compared to the Bears. But one of his cons was that ownership was one of the cons.
Yeah.
It's much like now that Jerry Reinsdorf has seen Michael Jordan, I think that like that runs through his mind 24/7. Like with signing Bulls players, I don't think he wants somebody like Michael Jordan, who's like, yeah, I'm the face of the league. You pay me. Like, shut up and pay me. And I'm like, that's all. I'm going to win you championships, but shut up and pay me.
And that's kind of the reason why he left. So
yeah.
All right. Well,
if the Bears were a competent organization, they would go and they would reach out to Tom Brady and they'd be like, hey, what made you not want to decide this?
Yeah,
and
but they're not going to do
like,
that.
How do we fix that problem?
Yeah, there has to be people.
They won't do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, they didn't even see that. They don't even know that's happening because they're not connected into the league.
Yeah.
They're not connected into sports. They're just
Virginia's watching on her tube TV.
Yeah,
turning the dial.
She's still watching 90s games.
She's so heavy.
Trying to fix her antenna to watch Tom Brady on Fox.
That's the thing. These people, they're not with the times. They're not connected, so they don't understand that this is how things go now. This is how we operate. This is how the league goes, and we get to see the benefits of that.
I mean, I still wanted to pour more in the glass half full section. Bears right now, exactly where we're supposed to be at. Okay, this is 2-2. This is exactly where we're supposed to be at. I have no faults with how we've performed. Like there are obviously some qualms within the offensive.
Yeah, got to beat the Panthers this weekend.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big game. But the Minnesota Vikings are really screwing us up. Because the Minnesota Vikings are somehow 4-0.
Well, that gets us into our next segment.
Beautiful segue.
Great job,
Way
Connor.
to do it, man. You're learning how to pod.
So that bounces us right into our next segment, which is where do we, as the... Is this fucking Andy again?
Hey, dude. All right.
God damn it.
Hey, guys. You take care. You handle it.
Oh my God. Why do we even do this, Ryan?
Why do we do this?
Why do we do this?
Now it's you and me. We try so hard. We put
do.
so much
We
effort
do.
into this, dude.
I mean, between and then all he does is show up,
That's the thing.
and then
You put the outline together. I build the studio.
gotta
I
go-
like to edit the thing. He's
Right.
just making more
yeah,
work
he
for
just
me.
shows up, and then he
Now I have
invites
to
his
go
friends
in
over and
cut this.
just-
I'm probably not going to cut it. You're probably listening to this right now because
Yeah.
I don't have the time or patience to
No,
cut this out.
I
So
wouldn't.
We're going to fill the gaps, and
I wouldn't.
he's bringing in a friend, and
I
that
would
friend
not.
is going to. Where am I going to put him? I
We
guess
don't
I'll
have a
put him
chair.
over here.
We don't have a chair.
I have a
in
chair right here.
There's
I'll
no
put him in
chair
the fucking
here.
corner.
There's no chair.
There we go.
There is no chair in here. Ryan's now moving a stool. See, this is the shit we deal with. And this is why we haven't done this in 2 months, you know?
It's one of the reasons, and now he's going to mess up my camera angle.
I know. You know what? If
I
it
work
was
so
just
hard on
me
the
and
framing.
you doing this, we'd fire off
we
3
could.
times a week. You know,
We probably could.
We'd probably be number 4 in the sports category on Spotify.
Yeah, we're coming for you.
Yeah,
You know who we're talking about. We're coming for you.
gotta trim some of the fat around here.
Yeah. How long until he calls me that he's
Literally.
locked out because he just walked outside?
Man, that's probably not that. Yeah, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's
to
not.
Be honest.
So let's just do this next segment on our own, Kyle. Division. Where do we see the Bears landing? Where do we see everyone else landing?
All right, so I don't have the records in front of me, but I know that at this point the Minnesota Vikings are in first at 4-0.
Correct.
The Detroit Lions, I believe, are in second, and they would be
3-1?
at 3-1, I believe.
I
Yes,
think that's right.
and then the Packers, I think, are 2-2, and the Bears are 2-2.
Yes.
So, and that is with the Packers having played 2 games with Malik Willis as their starting quarterback. So.
He is 2-0, and Jordan Love is 0-2.
So again,
Sabermetrics.
I think what the hardest look is in this division of the land, like when you look at the landscape of this, is to look at everybody's head coach,
Mhm.
and then you look at the Bears head coach,
Yep.
and you're like, oh man, all these guys can coach, and I mean, we're 2-2. I'm not saying that's
I know.
bad, but like,
It's also
do you
not
feel
great.
as confident with Matt Eberflus as you would with any of those other 3 coaches?
No, I do. Well, I don't know. LaFleur, I'm back and forth on because he has really good highs and really low lows. And again, you have Jordan Love, who's your starting quarterback that you paid so much money for, 0-2, and then Malik Willis comes in, he's 2-0. I don't know. I just don't. I see them fighting for the 4th spot. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
You
You
can
can
come
sit
in.
over there, Andy.
Right.
All right. So who did we talk about? Did we already talk about the Vikings?
Yeah.
No,
you
we're just kind of
from the
we're just kind of
conversation.
going through some
Yeah,
division
Matt-
breakdowns and everything, and just kind of talking about records.
Matt LaFleur, phenomenal head coach.
We just
I
said
disagree.
all 3 of them are pretty good.
I think he's marginally better than Eberflus. Marginally.
How?
Because, well, first off, he can't win a playoff game.
He did whoop the shit out of the Dallas Cowboys.
That's exactly
Well,
what I was
that's
gonna
our one of my favorite holidays. They always beat the Cowboys,
Yeah.
but
but they lose
you
to the
host
49ers.
the 49ers.
That's the thing every
in
year. is
your
that-
environment.
I mean, the 49ers are, you can't compare it to, like, that's.
No. Every
49ers
year,
are the best team.
every year, the 49ers come
They-
to Green Bay and they fucking mop the floor with the Packers in the snow, in
That
the
is true.
cold.
That is
I'm
true.
sorry. I'm
The Packers
I'm
are
not,
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
I'm not
Packers
saying
are to
it's
the
competitive.
Cowboys
That's
what
fair.
the 49ers are to the Packers.
I
Yes,
love when
yes,
the Packers
that's
beat the
fair.
Cowboys. That's the only day I'll ever be a Packers fan is when they whoop the Cowboys. I love to see it. It's a tradition for me.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
LaFleur cannot win a game at home against the 49ers in the playoffs. He's also, I don't know, I don't see it being, I don't see him being that much better than Eberflus when it comes to,
Who would you
regular
rather
season
have,
games.
Eberflus or Matt LaFleur?
if I had to choose between the two, I would take LaFleur, but I mean, that's,
Who's the Packers offensive coordinator?
No idea.
I don't know.
No idea.
I
Matt
think
LaFleur.
this might be a hot take, but I think Dan Campbell's the best coach in the NFC North right now,
I think I disagree.
and that's okay.
I think I disagree with that.
I think Dan Campbell has the best roster to work
I think
with
he has
in
the
the
biggest
NFC
balls,
North.
maybe, in the NFC North.
Yeah, and it
But
fits the city. But the coaching, if you're looking just at a pure coaching job, what Kevin O'Connell's doing with the fucking Vikings is
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
that when you're just ripping it with Sam Darnold and he's like one
It's
of the
pretty
top
great.
quarterbacks in the league now, like
But is this Kevin O'Connell's first OC or first head coach job? Was he there last year?
He was there
he was
last
there
year.
last year.
Okay.
Yeah, who's their quarterback? Oh, that's when they had
Kirk, and
Kirk,
then
and he got
injured.
hurt, and they shuffled through like 4 different iterations.
And they were still
of-
competitive. Yeah,
And
he's
guess
a
what?
great
and
head
guess
coach.
what Kevin O'Connell did? Made adjustments.
Yes.
He was like, we're going to figure it out. We're not going to do what we typically do. And then he changed offense, which is a knock on Eberflus, even though I was just kind of praising him a little bit. But he was the one person that could make those adjustments to the other coaches, so the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
When you say that, though, I don't. What adjustments have not been made?
Well, he probably clearly had to change his offensive play type. Like
Who?
Kevin O'Connell with the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh yeah, but I think they had like
But
months to prepare for that.
But
also,
what I'm saying is the Bears are doing the same exact offensive, the screens, the dumping, the dump passes.
they don't do it every play. You
do it- they
overhype
do it-
that. Watch any offense.
a
They
lot.
they
I've been
all will
watching
run
every single
screen
game.
plays at some point in the
I know,
game.
at
Like
least
you watch
some
one
point.
screen play and it just ruins your entire weekend.
No, they run it a lot, but
They run it too much. I'll give you that, but it's not every play. He
not
does
every
overthrow
play.
the long.
sometimes we put the Wildcat in.
Okay, so let's. Right now we got Vikings first place, Detroit second place, and then Bears and Packers are tied for third. So when do we hit the panic meter, or do we hit it at all?
Yeah, this was more of just like a scale of where we're at on the panic meter. I would also look at like if we want to go back to the division thing really quick. Just how do you see
Sure.
that breaking down?
I see.
You give me your 4.
If the Vikings keep playing the way they're playing, I could see them being the first spot. I think Detroit is going to chug right along. They'll be in the second spot. I think Bears, Packers. I think the Bears have what it takes to be that third spot. The question is, will they do it?
I think
But it'll be a tight race.
very
between
much
Bears,
in the
Packers.
same. I think
Bears,
it's
very tight race.
the only thing that I would say. I think Detroit's going to run away with it pretty quick
Yeah,
here. I think
that's what-
they're going
that's
to
what I
start
was
to
gonna
pull
say.
away pretty soon. I think they're going to be number 1. I think Minnesota, because of coaching, is going to be number 2, and then I think you're going to have like a duke out with the Bears and the Packers, like 9-win, 8-win team.
Yeah.
Whoever can win those two kind of games, those are going to be pivotal games for
Yeah.
for that division.
I hate that all of our division games are like the second half of the season.
Yeah, it sucks. The schedule sucks.
Yeah.
But I also kind of like that because it gives your
But
rookie quarterbacks some
exactly.
time to
That's
like get ready
exactly
for
what I
those
was
games
about
as
to say.
opposed to
Exactly
going into
what I was about
Lambeau
to say.
week 1
Yep.
like we did last year or before. We've
Yeah,
done
that was
before.
last year. Yeah, you guys were at the game.
That was week.
Yeah.
That was the last week of the
That-
game
no,
where the
Oh,
Bears
okay,
played.
okay.
They had like the bookends. The Bears played the Packers week 1 when we had all this optimism, and the
Yeah.
Packers just absolutely shit on them in week 1.
Uh-huh.
We were like, "What the hell?" And
And-
then
Yeah.
Am I going to be a Debbie Downer if I think the Bears are going to finish last in the division?
No,
No.
I don't think that's because
Alright.
they're playing in a very good division. I don't think
correct.
that can like.
that's
I'm
my
not, like-
only. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I'm not patting the back on like being fucking losers, but when you're playing in as tough a division as you are right now,
Yeah.
they.
Yeah.
I'm not. There's a what's the word for it? There's a
Hope.
no. What's the
I
points?
missed
There's
the part.
something point there. There's you get the.
I don't know.
It'll
But
probably come to me in like 4
Detroit.
minutes. and then
Detroit number 1. I think they're going to finish on top. I think Minnesota's going to take a little.
I think
Minnesota-
Detroit might win the Super Bowl. I honestly think that
Whoa,
they are
whoa,
like
whoa.
built.
Whoa, whoa.
And you know me. Last year, I hated.
Whoa.
I was about to say.
I was
Pump the
pumping
brakes,
brakes.
Kyle.
I was
Revisionist
pumping the brakes
history.
on the Lions, but
Revisionist history. Right
no,
now.
Pump
that's
the
not
brakes.
revisionist history. I'm not like fixing anything. I'm literally saying last year I wasn't as high on them. This year,
You
I
know the
think that
fix
they
is in, bro.
can
Come
do
on.
it. I think they can do it. I really do. There's so many weapons on that offense. How are you stopping that offense? With what defense are you stopping that offense?
With Nick Bolton and Chris Jones.
Shut the fuck up,
Do
dude.
we trust Jared Goff that much? I don't.
All right, I wasn't
I
going to
don't-
do it, but now I'm going to do it.
Like,
No,
Playoffs.
we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it.
I'm pulling up.
Playoffs, like, yeah.
We're going to wrap it up.
I'm going to pull up just one last little nugget here, and
Andrew still has to
is-
talk about Derrick Rose too.
No,
Just-
and that
just
this
for a
this works in the favor of Connor also. If we want to look at statistics through the weeks here, here's Patrick Mahomes' stats:
Oh, I know they're
six
they're not
touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 904 passing yards, 61 rushing yards.
good. Yeah, not great.
Okay, not great.
I don't think the Chiefs are good, Ryan.
I
this
don't
year,
care.
Just so you know.
I don't care.
All right, and then I'm going to give you the stats on another player, and I want you to tell me who that player is.
Oh, okay.
9 touchdowns, 1 interceptions,
It's gonna
830
be Jared
passing
Goff.
yards,
I
145
know, it's
rushing yards, 3-1.
I know the answer. It's Justin Fields.
It is Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Did you see the meme?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. You saw the meme. So the meme of Justin Fields just having better stats than Patrick Mahomes through
Good for
4
Justin
weeks.
Fields.
But again, a lot of that is just situational. There's a lot of variables. I'm not blaming one
Also,
person or one thing. but-
Just based on that, the fact that Justin Fields is doing that in Pittsburgh and not in Chicago, coaching.
Yeah,
100%.
So
yeah.
let's go under the radar here. Let's see a couple people that we think might surprise us by the end of the year
Okay, we get
for
to
the
pick.
Bulls
All right,
and the
I
Bears.
actually do like this. I have a good one.
If Connor, if you want to start
Okay.
with your surprising players, doesn't matter who team.
Yeah, do one or two.
One of the people that I said that was not going to be good in the beginning of the season, Javon Dexter. He's been playing phenomenal, and I think that he's proven himself, and one of those mindsets that he's only going to go up from where he's at right now as a rookie. And he's that my main concern was him not getting off the ball. Now he shoots like a fucking rocket.
Well,
off
that's
the
because
ball.
I think they actually have a defensive coordinator now
Yeah,
with
who
the
can
guy from
train him.
who is the defensive line
Yeah.
coach from Buffalo that actually can like focus on that side of the ball and he
Yeah.
doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, their D line has been playing.
So I'm loving that pick.
I would say one player that I think is an X factor for the Bears would probably be Ryan Bates if he can get off IR, and that would be their only O-line help that they can get.
Yeah.
That would be a big thing that they could get back. I don't think we've seen.
What's ETA? Do you know?
I don't know. It would have to be 4 games if he's put
Yeah.
on IR. But
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say is I
It's-
don't know what game he went out on, if it was week 1 or if it
It's
was a
a loss.
preseason game. But
I figure it's a lost cause at this point. I'm pretty sure that because he has a multiple year contract, so I'm pretty sure that you want to.
I don't know. That would be, but I'm just saying as an X factor,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
under the
I get
radar,
what
if
you're
you
saying.
can get him back and you can plug
Yeah.
him into the offensive line,
Yep.
and I think he was supposed to be their starting center, and then
He
Coleman
was.
Shelton
Yep.
came into the fold, and if they can get him to play center, that might be something that changes the course of the season. But I don't know. We'll see.
Any X factors or surprises for the Bulls this upcoming season?
The rookie. That's all I can say. And maybe
Modest.
he's that maybe he's going to be a phenomenal player. I don't know.
If Billy Donovan plays him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that there's, like we said earlier, there's 2 big ones.
Yeah.
The first one is Lonzo Ball. If Lonzo
Yeah,
Ball can come
yeah.
back and he can play healthy and he can play like he was before, I think he unleashes a side of Zach LaVine that like the 2 of them just play well together. Where Lonzo can play like on-ball defense, where Zach LaVine cannot, and then he can push the ball in transition, and the 2 of them play very well together. That's a big thing if Lonzo Ball can come back and play the way that he was prior to the injury.
Who's that guy from UConn?
That was going to be my other one. Was Adama Sanogo was
Yeah.
going to be the other
There we
one
go.
that if
There we
Sanogo can come in and play like decent minutes and can be like an offensive rebounder and just let him board
Yeah.
it, and
Mhm.
Vucevic can learn a new position,
Yeah.
maybe play him at small forward because he's not a center.
Just play like Angel Reese and just
Right, yeah,
chuck
just-
the ball up and get shit in a rebound.
Boom! Or
I
what's
would-
his name? Oh, bang! Bang!
I would love to see if I were to pick some favorites here. I would love to see Kenny Lofton be a surprise.
Oh, dude,
like
me too.
Really nice.
Oh
add.
yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
that signing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
that's-
good call.
that's Zach
That's a
Randolph.
good call.
That's Zach Randolph.
You know, he's what, 3 years in. This will be his 4th year or year 3, whatever.
He did
If-
well.
He did very well, and if
Yeah.
Billy Donovan can get his fucking head out of his ass and play him the way that it needs to be played, unlike he did with DeAndre Jordan, like seriously, dude, figure it the fuck out. He could be awesome.
With that being said, don't you think that you could kill teams with having those two big bullies now that everyone's skinny and tall?
Yes.
Just kill teams with those two big bullies down in the post.
I think everything in sports is cyclical.
Yeah,
and you see
like
teams go into trends, and they start getting into these trends, and they start building all their teams, and then another team does a new trend and starts doing it the same exact way. So like what you're saying is like the Warriors started the trend of let's play three ball and just shoot from the outside, and everything's going to play from the outside. And now you're going to start to see teams that are going to start playing from the inside, and then it's just going to keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah. I think my other surprise for the Bears is based on what I've seen the first 3 weeks, if we can keep it going and have it as a secret weapon, something in your back pocket would be, was it Devontae Carter, isn't it? Was it?
Javon Carter?
Javon Carter.
Yeah.
The wide receiver. Like, he had a lot of catches game 2 or whatever.
Oh, DeAndre Carter.
DeAndre Carter. Yeah, my bad. So,
yeah, he's questionable for
I know, number 11, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know who you're talking about. The wide receiver. He's
but
also
like,
their punt returner.
he was making some
returner.
pretty solid catches. Like, I think he led for the first half, if not the full game, on catches and yards. And if he could be that nice little backup option where you have DJ Moore deep, you have Rome deep, but then Carter's there when you need him.
With that being said, how many wide receivers do you need though?
Well, it's a good honestly. Well, it comes up to the play calling too. Like you got Keenan Allen, Rome, DJ. You also have Cole Kmet, who had a fucking monster game.
Yeah,
game 2, right?
Yeah,
I know, but I mean, he's still receiving the ball.
No, but use the tight ends is what I'm saying. Use the tight ends.
Yeah,
I'm just saying he could be a nice safety blanket, almost like a. And I hate to use this, but like how the Chiefs used McCole Harbin.
Yeah.
For that guy that you kind of didn't account for, but you can rely on.
Exactly.
Oh, which we didn't bring up in that's reminded me of that with the NFC North breakdown that we didn't bring up. This whole Romeo Doubs thing. Have you been following this with the Packers?
No.
So he was listed as doubtful, and people thought it was like for like a personal matter. But it is because he doesn't like his role on the team, and it's because his role on the team is as an X receiver, and like he just basically just flies down the field, and he's like, I don't want to do that. When you're giving Dontavian Wicks and you're giving Jaden Reed all these routes, I'm not doing that anymore.
That's fair.
And so he didn't show up for practice Thursday. He didn't show up for practice yesterday, and so now they benched him for Saturday's game. And so maybe a little bit of trouble in paradise there brewing, and a little bit of locker room issues brewing for the Packers. But that just reminded me of that because like that's kind of what DeAndre Carter's role would be, is just as an X receiver of just fly down the field and like or like bomb it to you.
He's that last call.
Yeah,
but he is reliable.
Right, he's there,
and he could have a sneaky good season.
Yeah, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no.
Yeah. So anything else that we missed throughout this podcast you guys want to touch on? No fantasy football allowed.
No fantasy. Yeah, my fantasy team sucks, dude.
Okay, I said
Andy,
not
do you
allowed.
want to talk about Derrick Rose?
Yeah, maybe we close this out. Andy, if you want to sit in, and I'll put some sad music over you talking about Derrick Rose to close us out. Hey, thanks everyone for listening again. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. And here's our special guest, Andy B. He's going to talk about all of his feels because of the Derrick Rose retirement.
If you don't cry,
take it away,
upset.
Andy.
Sorry, I'm late. So, is this
help him with his mic, Connor?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, what did you do?
Tighten it. There you go. Okay.
All right.
Cue the sad music.
So, just gonna say, love the symbolism from the Bulls starting with this retirement on January 4th, 2025. I mean, number 1. That's January. Number 4, that's Rose's brothers and Rose and his mom. That's why he was number 4 in New York. And 25 was his number at with Ben Simmons, back when he went to school. So 1, 4, 25. Love the retirement date. Love the date they chose. Playing the New York Knicks classic rivalry. I think that's really symbolic. They have to retire the jersey that day if they don't. But it's Chicago sports, so knowing Reinsdorf and these guys, they might not do it. And if they don't, I think it's a shame. I think it's a sham. But I think that's the perfect day and moment to do it. I think they have to do it. There's statistically no player that's been in the Hall of Fame like D. Rose for this reason. But based on what he means to the city and the NBA, I think they're asked if there's going to be an exception. It's going to be Derrick Rose on January 4th, 2025, and I will be at that game.
Do you think it's too soon? Or do you think it's right on time?
I think it's right on time based on the date that I just described. It has to be done on that day.
If it's not done that day, do you think it will ever be done?
No.
Okay.
No, and if it is, that's stupid.
Yeah.
it's the perfect day to do it. It makes sense. Again, I'm sure we all got emotional. We saw the Instagram post. We knew
It
it
was
was
a sad
coming.
day, man.
It was very intense. But the other thing too, and not to get too salty about it, but we've stuck with Lonzo Ball. I think even longer than we did D Rose. That's just a fun fact that I'll put out there. I'll just put that out there. A little salty about that. I think we've waited for Lonzo Ball a little too much, and D Rose didn't get enough grace on that. That's my hot take on that.
Also, full transparency, that segment earlier, it was Andy's idea. It was not our idea.
Sorry if you heard me on the phone express that. Yeah, again, I'm late. This is on me.
Okay, really quick. Are we retiring Derrick Rose's number?
You will, you have to. Even the trainers don't give people the number. Michael Carter Williams tried to wear it. I think one other player wore it for a game, and the trainer's like, okay, you're not going to wear that jersey anymore.
Are we retiring Dennis Rodman's number then?
Dennis Rodman's number is interesting because that's the first thing that came up was Dennis Rodman's number is not retired for the Bulls. How can you retire D Rose's? I would argue that, his number was retired in Detroit, and for a reason it stays there. I think D Rose stays in Chicago based on the significance.
Joakim Noah?
Noah, man, more of a spirit. He was the heart and soul. I agree with you, but he wasn't as significant as D Rose was for the Bulls.
Felicio.
You should retire. Yeah.
John Salmons.
I'll keep it in there. Love John Salmons. Big John Salmons guy. Big John Salmons. Hey, and you heard it here first, by the way. The Bulls will not win a championship until Kirk Heinrich becomes the coach.
Oh,
Coach Heinrich.
Oh, I actually don't hate
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
I'm waiting for that day to
that.
come.
Kirk Heinrich.
Billy Donovan's a scrub. You need Kirk Heinrich. You need the coach. You need the captain to
Coach
come back.
Heinrich. I like that.
Me
That's
too.
a good take.
I've thought about it since 2013.
I don't think Heinrich's going to become the coach unless Reinsdorf and all his fucking cronies are gone.
I
though.
agree with you 100%. That's the first step.
Yeah.
He's
So,
never gonna
First
leave.
step is get rid of those fucking jabronis.
Yep.
Those jabronis.
Hey, thanks again for listening, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.